So it's MLK Day and Racial Reconciliation Day, which, first off, let me admit, that's really interesting that that day just all of a sudden popped up and it seemed to have been something that has been ongoing, is what they're trying to say. But in the concept of racial reconciliation, first off, we'd have to understand why we are at this point. Now, for majority Southern Americans, Southern white Americans that always say that, hey, we're trying to protect and uphold our heritage and our culture, I must ask you this. Articulate exactly what is your heritage and your culture. Now, I bring this because A, Europeans left and came here because they were trying to escape religious persecution, overtaxation from the monarchy, so many different things. Depravity is what they were saying, also. Uh, but when you got here, you did exactly the same thing, and it carries on till to this day. So would that be considered a part of your culture and a part of your heritage? Then, on top of that, when you got here, after stealing the people's land, stealing their means of production, and essentially wiping out almost a population, you brought in another population and you forced them to work through chattel slavery, unlike normal traditionalized slavery. So that's one thing I always have to put it out there because I hate when people say, oh, well, everybody had slavery. Yes, everybody did, but they didn't have chattel slavery. So would that also be considered a part of your culture, a part of who you are? So then on top of that, after that, we get to see you have basically taken so many different cultures and assimilated it into your own, which would mean that you technically don't have a culture outside of others. So that would mean that you would have a shared means of culture. So there's no way that you could say, well, hey, we need to separate this, us being, white Americans, because even the term white was brought about by a Portuguese person back in, 1452? Something like that. Desarara. He was the one who did all that in order to be able to justify the means of chattel slavery. So that's still not your culture. And then you took on the term of Anglo-Saxon, which here in America wouldn't make sense given the actual region where that comes from. Then to say Caucasian actually would mean that you would come from the Caucasus Mountains, which was actually stolen from them too as well, because they were at one time were considered the most beautifulest people on the planet. So you use that. So once again, I ask, and I mean this truthfully, what is your culture?